What's poppin', dogs? Mr. Allen here doing a little framing math, specifically with a gable end roof. So in this scenario, we are framing a gable end roof for a 19-foot wide garage with a 412 pitch. So the slope of our roof is 4/12. For those of you unfamiliar with construction, our common roof pitches are always over 12. They always have a run of 12. Even if you can simplify them like you would in math class down to, what would that be, 1/3, we keep it as 4/12. That way it's always the same denominator. Now our question is, how tall is the roof and how long are the rafters? So I want to know my height right here. I'll just call that, we'll call it H because it's the height. And then how long are the rafters? I guess I'll call that R for rafter, right? Those are the two things that I want. Now if I'm framing a roof, okay, probably want it to be symmetrical, right? And also, I'm going to want that bad boy at a right angle. That's how we're going to pin the ridge, if you will. I know in like regular geometry, you're not supposed to like assume certain things, but we're building a structure, and I want the structure to be done correctly with right angles and wonderfulness. Cool? Awesome. All right. So how do we figure this stuff out? Well, my total width of this building is 19 feet. 19 feet is my total width. So from end to end here, whoop, whoop, that is 19 feet. And my pitch is 412. Well, let's see here. I could set up a little proportion here, a rise over run, so 4/12. And I'm going to write down rise right here and run right here. I like to associate words with slope, with pitch, things like that. Whenever I'm setting up a proportion, rather, not just with slope, but whenever I'm setting up a proportion, I like to associate words with things. So that way when I set up my other fraction, I also have a rise and a run, okay? Now, I don't know my rise, it's my height, but do I know my run? Well, I've got a building width of 19 feet. Is that my run that I should be mathing with? Well, if I do an entire 19-foot run, what's going to happen is I'm going to get this height way the heck over here. Do I want that height? No, I do not want this height. No. It'll be twice the height, right? Because I did twice the run that I should have done. Oh, there we go. I should be working with half of that run. Half of 19 would be 9.5, right? Because half of 18 is 9, so 9.5 feet. Okay, so now I have the piece of information that should go in my proportion. I have my rise and my run for my roof. That's my pitch. If it was a 5/12 pitch, I'd see 5/12. If it was a 10/12 pitch, it'd be 10/12. Okay? I want my rise, which is my height of the roof, and I have my run, which is half of the building width. All right? Now, there are other things that are taken into consideration when actually framing. Okay, there's things called your ridge. You'd have to take off half your ridge thickness. You'd have to take into consideration wall sheeting and things like that. So there's different stuff that you're going to add and subtract when actually calculating your different rafter lengths, other things, your height you're going to use for your posts and whatnot. We're just doing the basic math stuff right now, okay? Straight up math stuff. If we brought in dimensional lumber, we'd have to add and subtract accordingly, okay? Got that in a different video, far more complex than what we're doing right here, all right? Dope. So let's cross multiply, let's solve, and I'll just keep it all in the calculator. 4 times 9.5, that's going to be what, 38? Boom. Okay. We'll go pink. So 4 times 9.5 is 38 equals 12H. So if I divide by 12 now, I'm going to get 3.1666, 3.16 repeating. Now we got options here, okay? We have options. If I divide by 12, which is what I have here, my height is 3.16. The 6 repeating, that's in feet, okay? So if it's in feet, because all my measurements here are in feet, this is feet, my slope is either in all feet or all inches or meters or really anything. The units don't matter here. It matches whatever I did over here, okay? So since this is in feet, everything's in feet. So to get it to inches, if I wanted, I would just multiply by 12, which would give me 38. So I could also say that the height is 38 inches. Now, we can math with either of these things, but I feel like the 38 inches is probably easier to math with. So why don't I take that 9.5 and multiply that by 12 to give me 114 inches right there for my run, right? So now I have these nice numbers in inches, no decimals, no messiness to plug into the calculator, for my run right there and my height right there of 38, how do I get my rafter length? If you're thinking Pythag, if you're thinking hit with some Pythag, you are absolutely correct. Let's do that. So I'm going to have 38 squared plus 114 squared equals r squared. Let's plug that on the calculator. 38 squared plus 114 squared. Jot that down. You can just do all these steps in your calculator, but I know for me as a teacher, I would like to at least see the Pythag written down. Ideally, we'd also see this 14. How many fours we got there? 3 4s and a 0 equals r squared, and show the square rooting here. Whoop. But then do that in your calculator. Good stuff for like partial credit if you're actually writing things out. Nice steps, keeping things organized, all that good stuff. So we're going to square root that, and you could also type that all in the square root at once. Notice I just arrowed up and hit enter. It copies it into the square root, which is kind of cool. And I get r equals 120.166 and change inches. So if it were just a math answer, I would have 120.17 inches. That'd be to the nearest hundredth, okay? But if I'm on the job, I got a tape measure. Where's 0.17 inches on my tape? On a tape measure, it's in sixteenths. So we're going to convert this to sixteenths. So I'm going to subtract 120, and the reason why I do that is to just get the decimal by itself. You could type that decimal in. I find it easier to subtract off the integer. That's just my move, right? Now, if I multiply this by 16, I'll get how many sixteenths that decimal is. Hit enter, I get 2.6. So round that to 3, I would get 3 sixteenths. So now we're going to have our tape measure answer here. Tape measure answer of 120 and 3 sixteenths inches. That's for my rafter length. So I got a height of 38 inches and a rafter length of 120 and 3 sixteenths inches. Dang, that's dope. That's super dope. All right, there we go, guys. And again, you could keep things in feet, multiply by 12 later. As long as you just keep your decimals in that calculator, you'll stay accurate. But a lot of times I find inches just cleaner to work with because a lot of the decimals occur due to the dividing and not, dividing out nicely. So then the multiplying by 12, it works like you saw here. You get a repeating decimal. It's a whole thing. Whole thing. I got to keep things in the calculator. Inches seem a bit cleaner. And it's real easy to convert it to tape measure at that point because I can just subtract off my integer, multiply by 16, get my 3 sixteenths, good to go. If I was in feet, I'd have to convert it to inches, then do that whole subtract off and multiply by 16. So there we go, guys. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Love the video. If you did, hit like, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Or if you want to request another video, some dope video, some ideas, something that you don't think I have, I'm happy to help. Just put it in the comments as well, and have a great day, guys. Peace.